Even the president of the Republic of Ghana, ono John Dramani Mahama no, asa na ombe so onyini no. Se okokita bibi e de so e magani say na chief justice a so ni in. Esa no wura office. Na dey enti na win election, dey enti na wan kwa wura office. Asa who tina ofie na obeka kire obi say we ohini. Sir. Ti say me gina onu say o de ba o beti obeka kire say me forefathers omu wo omu oboku. Ono no ni na na ban ni grave na e wo boku. Ono Abograwa ni came ano. Abograwa is a different with Azoka. Yeah, ni. Azoka, he's a younger man by 12, coming from Burkina Faso. Do things we know that, and we know their family house. And then Abograwa also. Onya onyene ene ewa boku enye onyene ewa babia. Oh hine bia enim so ya hine ewa boku. Eye Alhaji Sedu Abagre de Nabserga. Your last message ya di mamu. Mo media for amobia ya ba life nse be kasano. Mesanie wallahi 3 times. Omo mi omo diploma wo boku no soldier for na police for no. Omo wa mawo. Omo wa nkwala fi omo wa papa no mami no omo ja omo se omo ba ye kuro mboko e be protecting life and then properties. Se be hu se omo ntimi a na denti na omo ya police for no denti na omo ntimi yi sa soldier for na omo kotuna bokra o fie no omo yi sa soldier no enfi na bokra o fie na ma da ni fie ho a le so se obeti ma da ni fie ene abako de se to so mienu se IGP so hu a police for no ntimi pata ye nim se amo FB unit omo je omo 30 soldiers 20 omo timama asunje ababoku politics nti se omo nim se omo ntimi a omo sisa soldier 4 ni na omo aboku no omo crossing consabilan court now no omo maye 24 hours ni ba bia ni hifie eta from omo nya boku eti asaka tiramu se kusasi ni bia kasa oyo bema o attempti sir or block car bi ewo highway international highway ni so on block car bi say or attack obi yes e be ya Ghanaian surprise exactly and the sad message I was say you be Ghanaian so no we first and last and the man one way na go see first and last ya nim say mra wo asa na boku na ba Alhaji Sedu Abagre de Nabserga. The second, Asana Obedi ni na esi boku kurom no. Ofa mraso. Ene ko dur boku. Otina ni fie no mo ka tenso onyini o. No no abi onti boku ka sa no boku na ba no. Ani ke ma bogro go no. O tira ye. Ni nana grave a wo boku. Abdul Ayi. And Nabserga obati ma tira ni assistant. Ni forefathers o mo grave a wo boku up to ne. E wo ho. So no ani ke ma bogro. Se Ghana mra e fani ya jima na omo yini free bokwa ye mpesa bibi be si akire because of the respect that we have with the military men and the policemen e dey be si akire bia e be dey na be si na be si esa tesa munim se mon pe police mon pe soldier sa mo de ya ma mutu for say mun yi police for no varas na e wo mo fi ono both police and soldiers, you move free. Name my order say, a henny no, a Bogrago, and an Achiriga, Yagamu Mamo, Munku, Dobeti me over Bruno. Some easy to me, Yajima, and Antakwa, Mamunku police for, Mamunku soldier for, Omoja soldier for the police for no. Munyi mu free Abograwo fie. Munyi mu free onomo. No mo man just 3 days. 3 days. Ma o yeni biantu na shirika ntu free boku. Abograwo ntu free boku. For only 1 week ko wa betima tena kro mu onomo no. Wona kro no ya odie. Finish. Ena boku ko bon ga no. Se soja for ni nimso mutimi ma escort ma enko a. Omo ma ye kwan ya o nanka betima di enko for pia ko bon ga ko disa. Ni ata ye chiaba. No searching. Asa dentro bia. Se kabe ne pese Ghana ye manya. Je be ma Ghana ye manya. De kusaji fo ni ya omusuro no. Ye betima ye. Ma ye wo ti aye na shiriga. Wa ma order ye ntimi ye fi. Press conference ye crack for no.
Omajuma na omo ye no. Na basa fo no so wo ho. Ye betima ya asen omo batempe. Police ni regional commander yi ni tuo say e bon man pursi ni abranti e pa kunu. Because hu ni tuo wo ja tuo na ma o. Chime o say there bi. Wo kunu man pursi fa for it. En ko ni police ni. Ye say curfew rules keke ya break. Nko 40 mocks. Ya ko kun omo mpanyinfo man pursi ni bia sori am bo police ni asu po boku da. Na adenti na so mo ba IGP mo wati me ba makusa ti for takum sutu no aka je police for se o sutu soro kusa for sutu police for mo so mo sutu soro ye ku o mo so sutu soro police for mo amuntimi so mo kan no kre no mo nja ekuro no maye se sa na government pair bunduri for ye nuar ma mo ku bunduri no aye we ye last. And yes, I buy one get 10 free no. Ombanya. Buy one get 10 free no. Look at you Bunduria. What do if our Ghana and United Ghana?
Abusia ye nyina yenim tisi ade conflict kase pa esi boku ene ne mpatem. Abusia Mamprugu Youth Association e the strong warning abre IGP tete yowonu the current IGP eno echi no ura JDM and so o ma send a strong message abusia e de ama won say wo monhwe na nia ese no wonfa asem no ento because omo kirema omo na wese omu di ade na eye ohini bi a owo ho ne de abusia omo kirema enyo ono kra na wese odi ade yenti nsem e course so adwa das na kira wadwen fa video yi ho
Mamprugu Youth Association, the national chapter, and then it seeks to address current security developments in Bawku and its environs, the unprofessional conduct of the Inspector General of Police, and then the baseless demand for the arrest of Bawku Naba na Shiriga Alhaji Seidu Abagri. Esteemed members of the press, fellow Ghanaians, and all dedicated stakeholders committed to peace and order in Bawku and Ghana as a whole, we of the Mamprugu Youth Association address you today with profound concern for the rapidly deteriorating and escalating security situation in Bawku and its surrounding areas. This crisis affects not only the lives and livelihoods of our people, but also threatens the very fabric of our national unity, national security, and the promising mediation efforts currently led by His Royal Majesty Otumfo Osei Tutu II, the Asante Hine. A brief about the background to the current happenings in Bawku. Bawku, historically a vibrant hub of coexistence and commerce, anchored by its central market, established in 1858, has long symbolized our interconnectedness, drawing together diverse ethnic groups and fostering trade across our borders with Burkina Faso, Togo, and Niger. The unilateral establishment of a parallel market by a segment of the Kusasi community, following the regrettable resurgence of violence in 2021, citing unfounded claims of insecurity in the Mamprusi-dominated central market, has unfortunately introduced grave security challenges. Now, while we recognize the inherent right of every citizen or every community to pursue its economic activities in safety, the consequences arising from the creation of this parallel market have been deeply troubling. Elements within the Kusasi youth have, with gross impunity, engaged in acts of intimidation and coercion with intent to deny access to the Kusasi market to individuals they wrongly perceive as Mamprusis or their allies. Indeed, the tragic killing of a 6-month-old Busanga baby, whose grandmother went with her to the Kusasi market to purchase vegetables, underscores the climate of hostility that has festered for a long time around the Kusasi market. Disturbingly, this aggression has extended beyond ethnic profiling to levels that can best be described as domestic terrorism. These same Kusasi youth have forcibly prevented their own Kusasi kin, members of other ethnic groups, and international traders, particularly from Burkina Faso, Niger, and Togo, from accessing the established Bawku Central Market, which provides revenue to the state. These blatant acts of economic blockade and ethnic targeting, often occurring in plain sight of law enforcement officers along critical routes like the Bawku Bolga Pulimakom Road and the Bawku Kulungungu International Road, points a disturbing picture of a breakdown in law and order and safety. And that is very unfortunate. If the intent, that is the intent of creating the apparel market, the Kusasis, was to create space for commerce, it would be a matter of communal choice. However, the forceful redirection by Kusasi youth of traffic destined for the Bawku Central Market and the subsequent targeting of those who patronize it, even under armed military escort, are unequivocally criminal acts of banditry and then terrorism. Attempts by the Ghana Police Service to restore order and ensure freedom of movement along the Bawku Bolga Pulimakom International Road by preventing attacks and harassment of innocent citizens have been met with violent resistance by the Kusasi youth, tragically resulting in the loss of life. The subsequent coordinated armed attacks by Kusasi youth on multiple police installations, including the burning of the residence of the divisional police commander, sections of the Bawku police barracks, the Binduri police post, and the attacks on the Pusiga police station, as well as the residences of honorable members of parliament, Honorable Mahama IGP and Honorable Ladi Ayamba, leading to injuries to police and immigration officers and extensive damage to public infrastructure, are acts that demand the strongest condemnation. Unfortunately, we are yet to see a single condemnation of these acts of terrorism from the Kusasi leadership and their political class, like Honorable Ayarga, Honorable Avoka, and the rest of the members of parliament in the Bawku area. They are silent. None of them is bold enough to condemn these acts of terrorism. Following the above violent acts of domestic terrorism by the Kusasi youth, because they have come out to own up and say they are those committing these acts of terrorism, the Inspector General of Police visited Bawku, and in what can be best described as bizarre, he apologized to the Kusasis, the same people who attacked and vandalized several police and state installations. Furthermore, the IGP refused to visit Mamprusis, who are key stakeholders in this matter. This biased conduct of the IGP and the cowardly unprofessional conduct of apologizing to criminals has emboldened the Kusasi youth to perpetuate more crime. They went, and when I say they, I mean the Kusasi youth, because they have actually accepted that they are those doing this. They went on rampage, attacking and killing innocent Mamprusis in the Binduri district. Their ungodly criminal activities climaxed on the afternoon of April 13, 2025, when they ambushed and killed 2 police officers in the Binduri district. The market of a good leader is having the best interest of the people he leads. But to throw the sacrifices of the men in uniform to the dogs just to appease what the former police satraps describe as kusasi banditry smacks of incompetence and professional negligence on the part of the Inspector General of Police. Indeed, we are reliably informed that almost all the policemen stationed at districts like Binduri, Pusga, have all been recalled to the Divisional Police Command in Bawku simply because of threats by Kusasi youth, emboldened by the pleas of the IGP. We have cited a police memo from the Upper East Regional Police Command issuing a ban on the movement of police personnel to Bawku. This development paints a bleak outlook of the security of the area. We would like to extend our deepest condolences to the government and families of the deceased police officers. We commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for his forthright description of these acts as criminal vandalism of state property. It is our considered view that the Kusasi youth were emboldened by the unfortunate apology issued by the IGP to them for their acts of violence and terrorism against the state of Ghana. They have done that to several citizens, innocent citizens, and they now feel emboldened to attack the state. And all the IGP could do was to go and apologize to them. We urge the police and all security agencies to heed the clear directive from the president that these acts are acts of criminal vandalism of state property, and ensure that the perpetrators of these dastardly acts face the full force of the law. Unfortunately, instead of confronting these bandits and terrorists, the security has folded up in Bawku. They have all folded up, and the media is silent. All the police forces have folded up and they have gone back to the Divisional Police Command. Instead of confronting armed bandits and terrorists, they have emboldened over the year, they have folded up. And then Ghanaians shouldn't be silent to this, because that is how terrorism creeps. It starts at an area where you think that it does not involve you, it does not touch you. By the time you realize, it creeps to your very homes and then your very roofs, deep inside your rooms. So Ghanaians should be very concerned. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, these events, the acts of banditry and terrorism, have regrettably led to the suspension of armed security escorts on the Bawku-Bolgatanga Highway, which is a critical international trade route linking Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Togo. The ensuing disruption has stranded commuters and goods, paralyzed economic activity, and it risks damaging Ghana's regional and diplomatic trade relations. Today, if you are in the Bawku township, you cannot travel to Bolgatanga, because these youth, these Kusasi youth, have taken control over the roads. The roads that you and I pay our taxes for the government to construct and then build. Bandits have taken control over these roads, and citizens cannot travel on that road. And the state is quiet. In addition, the actions of the Kusasis have directly been aimed at making public institutions like the Bawku Presby Hospital, the Bawku Presby Nurses and Midwifery College, the Ghana Commercial Bank, and the Agricultural Development Bank dysfunctional and permanently closed. That is what they want. If you own a country or if you own a town, do you wish that these critical state infrastructure be closed permanently? Just like the Bawku Central Market, the Kusasi say all these critical state infrastructure are located within the territory of the Mamprusis. Hence, their untiring and determined efforts to render these state institutions permanently closed. Their actions are akin to the biblical story of dividing the baby into two, which ultimately leads to the death of the baby. That is what they want. We therefore urge the state to act with urgency to restore the functioning of roads and these critical state infrastructure.
Thank you very much.